In this next section, I want to talk about time signatures, and I hopefully want to shed some light on what time signatures are and kind of just simplify it for you, because I know for myself especially, I was very confused when I was first starting out. I was just like, okay, I'll just stick with 4/4. Don't even bother showing me anything else. But once I, started kind of dabbling in 7/8 and 5/4 and that kind of stuff, it was awesome. And so if you understand it, then you can kind of experiment with it and figure out if this is something you want to explore further, or if you just want to stick with 4/4. The reality is that 90+% of music in modern pop music is in 4/4, and that will probably always be the case. I can't tell you for sure. So it's up to you whether or not you want to learn it. But what we're going to do is just take a look at the sheet music, and you'll see the first exercise there, whatever you want to call it, it has a C in the left of the bar. And the C basically just means common time. Common time is 4/4. Okay, so that's a 4 on top and a 4 on bottom, if it was actually listed as 4/4. The top number is how many notes are in the bar. Okay, so in this case, there's 4, because the top number is 4, or C for common time. The bottom number is the value of those notes. So the bottom number is 4, so those are quarter notes. So when you count this, it's simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to demonstrate 4/4 being played over 60 beats per minute. Now each click represents one quarter note. Okay, it's a quarter note click. And so every time you hear a click, you should also hear me hitting the practice pad. Here we go. Now we're going to talk about 3/4. So what is 3/4? The top number 3 is the number of notes in the bar. The bottom number is the value. Okay, so again, we have 3 notes, and they're played as quarter notes. It's simple as that. So just like we count 4/4, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we're just going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's try with a metronome at 60 beats per minute. So it probably sounds a little bit easier than you thought. Okay, so take a look at the next exercise. We have 5/4. Okay, so what does the 5 mean? That's how many notes are in the bar. And what does the 4 mean? That's the value of those notes. So we have 5 quarter notes. So instead of counting to 3 like we did in the previous exercise, or 4 like we did in the first one, we're just going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try it with a metronome at 60 beats per minute. Next up is 6/4. Now you're probably starting to see a pattern here. It's hopefully getting easier and easier and easier. 6 is the number of notes. 4 is the value of the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try it with a metronome at 60 beats per minute. And the final one with the quarter note pulse is 7/4. We have 7 notes, and the value of those notes is a quarter note. So instead of counting to 6 or 5 or 4 or 3, we're just going to count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's try it with a metronome at 60 beats per minute. I will quickly mention, when counting any of the numbers that have 2 syllables, just say the first syllable. So for 7, just say sev. For 11, just say L, or something like that. Just say one syllable, and you should be fine. Okay, moving on to the next one is 6/8. Now you're probably thinking, we already did 6/4, 6/8 should be similar, right? Well, it's a little bit different, and you'll notice how different it is when we use the exact same click. So we're going to use a quarter note click track. Okay? And we're going to play 1/8 notes over top of that. So we're going to play 6 1/8 notes over top of a quarter note click track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the metronome at 60 beats per minute and show you exactly how it sounds. So notice that sounded more swingy, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the difference between, a 6/8 and a 6/4, is especially heard when you play them against a quarter note click, or when you play them against something different than just a solid click along with every 1/8 note, which is what you hear most drummers do. If you were to go ever play this in a studio, you'd probably get an 1/8 note click, so something right along with every note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine. What we're trying to do here is just help you understand what these time signatures are, so you understand how everything else relates to them as far as all the other note values. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is 7/8. Again, let's put on the click at 60 beats per minute. And I don't necessarily count this one 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Generally, I count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, let's put the click on at 60 beats per minute, and I'll show you how it sounds. Next up, we have 9/8. Okay, so we have 9 notes, and the value of those notes is 1/8 notes. So again, we're going to put on the quarter note click, and I'll show you guys how it sounds against a quarter note. Here we go. And now we have 11/8. Now this is a time signature I don't play a lot of, but I wanted to kind of throw it in there just to challenge you guys and to show you how even 11/8, it's not that complex when you just kind of break it down, put it against a quarter note click, and just play it on a practice pad. When you start moving these around the kit, and you're trying to get all 4 limbs in there and trying to nail the one every time for the band, that's when it becomes challenging. But if you want to work on this stuff, and if you really want to progress at this stuff, the best thing for you to do is just get a practice pad out and just kind of internalize that time signature. find out when the 1 is every single time. So when you are playing around the kit, it just happens naturally. So I'll demonstrate it for you guys now at 60 beats per minute. And the final time signature we're going to work on is 12/8. Now this is something you hear commonly in blues or sometimes in funk. And it's basically just 3 notes per quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or you could just count it 1, 2, 3, 4 and add those subdivisions in there with your playing. But it is important to realize, if it is a 12/8, generally they'll want you to play all those 8th notes, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. All right, so I'm going to play this for you guys at 60 beats per minute with a click that is in quarter notes. And like I said, that one is normally felt with groups of 3, and I was playing it as groups of 2. And that doesn't really matter. I just wanted to really show you guys how simple this stuff is. It's not as complex as it may seem. So whatever you want to play, you can get into the 15, 16, and whatever, the 21/8, or some of the crazy stuff that people are coming up with now. Do it. It's not that hard. Break down a practice pad, and then eventually take it to your kit. So I hope I shed some light on this. What I want you guys to do here is just kind of briefly go through each of these time signatures and familiarize yourself with them. And just count along with me and take this lesson a few times. Once you've done that and you feel you've got a good grasp on what the time signatures are, that the top note is the number of notes, the bottom note is the value of those notes, that's all we're really trying to accomplish here. Later on, you can decide if you wanted to learn 11/8 or 12/8 or 7/8. That's something for later on. For now, just get a grasp of what time signatures are.